Do you love waking up early in the morning, struggling to figure out what to do with your hair? We've all had our share of bad hair days. Are you ready for a change? Lock it and love it with Lock and Love Salon, conveniently located at 8117 Liberty Road, Windsor Mills, Maryland. Start your lock journey today. Lock and Love's professional services and artistic designs will keep you blazing in the hottest trends while maintaining and protecting your hair. Honey, Lock and Love is an experience. Once you try Lock and Love Salon, you won't try anyone else. Lock and Love offers starter and maintenance locks, fox locks, detox, shampooing and conditioning, lock treatment, lock extension, coloring, and much more. Sorry, but Lock and Love doesn't accept walk-ins. What are you waiting for? Call 410-970-3791 to set up your appointment today. Lock and Love is on Facebook, so remember to like, follow, and share.
Hey, it is your girl Pus'Her. If you're not pushing forward, you're moving backwards. Say that thing out loud. Forward ever, backwards never. No, really, say it out loud. Forward ever, backwards never. Come on, Sade. Forward
ever, backwards never.
The only time we are going back is for a frame of reference, or when we are in a place where we need to be reminded so that we can remember. And that is an individual journey. However, we are going forward. Have you gotten your copy of It Takes One to Know One workbook and journal? If you haven't, it is not too late. And even if you have, and it has impacted your life in some kind of way, purchase it for someone else. Go to pusherlife.org and go to the author's link, and you will see It Takes One to Know One workbook and journal and People Pusher. If you would like to contact me, if you would like to book me for speaking engagement, for liturgical dancing, for empowerment seminars, for workshops, it does not matter. You can contact me at info@pusherlife.org, and you can book me for your event, your engagement, whatever it is you would have me to do. I even do book signings. If you want me to bring my books and we talk about the book, we can do a book club. Anything that you want to do, because I am here to support you and make it as easy as possible. Shout outs to all the people that have so far tapped in and who has taken the pledge, healing 1 million people, one person at a time. But as always, I am starting with myself, as always. And so without further ado, because you know me, I want to maximize every second of every minute in this hour. And so although I have a plan, we all know it never goes the way that it is planned, but we trust the process. Hashtag healing out loud, hashtag pusherlife.org. If you want to participate and you are new, you must subscribe. That is the only way that you will be able to participate, because we encourage that. We are becoming a village, a body of people who are pushing one another forward in different directions, because we understand that our dreams and our aspirations are unique to us as individuals, but we have decided to do this thing on a collective level, because we understand that we can't do everything. We can't be everything for everyone. So we want to learn our lane and then operate in our lane and push forward. Hopefully we can all agree to that, and hopefully I am not asking for much. Right now, I am going to ask you to like, I'm going to ask you to share, and I'm going to ask you to subscribe. I don't want you to follow me. I want you to participate in your own growth and development and heal with me. It is important to get these messages out there. And in order for us to get the message out there, we need your assistance. We need your support. All I'm asking is for you to subscribe to the channel. I'm asking you to like this session. We are not entertaining. We are a people who have decided to show in real time and in real life that healing is real. And as you see, the gift of reconciliation is what we will be talking about on this evening. And as always, I made a mistake. And I'm not sure if I can fix it, but we're gonna move forward. The impact it takes one to know one. I should have changed it, but I didn't. But guess what? It's all about it takes one to know one, because I only have people on this platform that I can see myself in. When I look into your eyes, I can see a reflection of myself. So it takes one to know one. But on tonight, we will be talking about the gift of reconciliation. And so before we start, and I ask any questions that might be in my little old head, in my little old brain, I have the privilege to introduce to some of y'all and reintroduce to some of y'all a woman who I deem is special, a woman that I believe God has placed in my space, in my intimate space for a purpose. It takes a special kind of person to be in my life, to be active, and to be a participant in my growth and development, in my healing journey. It takes a special kind of person. And when I recognize that, I take care of that, because we value the things that are important to us. And so this young lady, this woman, I definitely value her friendship. I definitely value her insight, and I definitely value her struggle. I definitely value who she is as a woman. I value who she is as a personal success coach. I value her just as her just being who she is, which is amazing. And so without further ado, I am going to ask that you introduce yourself to the people who do not know who you are, have never seen you before. They only seen your name in the chat. And before you do that, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for being a participant. Thank you for encouraging the other men and the women that has so far been brave to share their truth, to share their journey. I want to personally, on behalf of those people, in behalf of the community that shows up, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for being a participant. Thank you for being a champion of courage. Thank you for providing your light on this particular platform. I definitely appreciate it. So I'm going to get out the way and allow you to introduce yourself.
Thank you, Carlita. That touched me. I value you too. Value you being in my life, and you've been such an inspiration to me, more than you know. But anywho, hello everybody. My name is Sade Smith. I am a life coach, personal success coach at Pivot Baltimore, where I coach ladies who have been impacted by the criminal justice system in any way. Um, we not only help them get back into the workforce, but get their life back, really help them find who they are, build their confidence, understand that they're worthy, understand that they can choose a better life, that their past decisions do not determine their future, and really just empower women. And that's all that I'm about, empowering women. People in general, but specifically women. I feel called to women. And it's just something that's near and dear to me. It's something I live every day, and I'm really passionate about seeing other women succeed. And if there's anything that I have learned in my journey that I can share with women, like I'm ready to share. I'm eager. Like I don't gatekeep anything that I have learned in my healing journey. And it actually is healing to me to be able to pour into ladies and share my story and share the things that I've learned, and grow together. So that's all I'm about. Women empowerment, growth, self development, all things growth.
All things growth. Wow. Okay. So since you took off running. And so I'm gonna move right in. Do you mind? Because I have a couple questions for you. My first question is, I'm gonna slow down because I definitely wait a minute. Hello. Hello. Yes. I am live right now, ma'am. And so are you. I'll give me a second. Yeah. Woo-wee. Hey, this is what it is. This is what we do. This is what it is. And as I said last week, we just gotta become like firefighters. And when it calls, we gotta come through. We gotta come through for the people. We gotta come through for the people. Give me
Good
one.
evening, everybody. Oh, everybody's stepping in the chat. Hey, everybody.
Okay, so that is my bed. So I apologize to everybody because I was rushing, and I don't like to be last minute when I know people are waiting and people want, and so I kind of like switch stuff up, and so I'm learning as I go. So I ask that you all just give me grace. We're gonna get this thing together, and we're gonna get it right. It's only me. And when I'm like right now by myself, so it's kind of hard for me to navigate, to try to do all this thing to please everyone. So just please forgive me, forgive me, forgive me. But guess what? You're here. We're here, and so we're gonna just keep going. So my first question, because you said you are all things, you're for women empowerment, but one thing that stuck out to me that you said is you're not a gatekeeper of my words, information. Gatekeeper stuck out to me, and I want to talk a little bit about that. I want to know your perspective. Why do you think we hold information hostage?
Hmm. That's a good question. I mean, I can't speak for anybody else. I would think that, I guess, in my observations, some people may be intimidated. Um, like, say, if they share something that they know with the person, and maybe that person excels past their growth, maybe they may feel intimidated, or it may be just like, yeah, like they don't want the person to surpass them.
And so, what would you say to that person on tonight that struggles with being transparent? Because that's all it is. Transparency is giving away information freely.
Mm,
So, what would you say to the person that may be watching that struggle with being transparent?
mm. So, one of the things we say at Pivot is, I'm not my sister's keeper, I am my sister, right? And so when I share my struggle, and I share how I got through, um, me sharing that with my sister is also me growing with her as well. And me sharing information that can help her walk into her purpose, step into her power, is also benefiting me too. So we actually benefit from each other. And also, there's healing in sharing. I believe that when you share, um, you also heal a part of yourself as well. When you be transparent and you open up, there's healing in that. So that's what I would say.
Great. So, moving forward, um, what is your when you hear the word reconciliation? What comes to your mind?
Rest- Restoration, restoring something that may have been broken.
And so, in your life, it can you identify, and yes or no, um, where you were broken and you needed restoration, you needed to be reconciled.
Hmm. So back in 2017, I had moved out on my own, had my first apartment, and I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know what I was doing, and I felt like I was kind of just navigating life by myself. Um, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I didn't know who I was. I had an idea of who I was, but I just didn't know how to figure that out and really like be confident in it and walking in it. And I felt lonely. Like I felt very lonely. I felt like there was just so many things that it was just so many things that was a really dark place for me. I would say that time I it was good and it was dark too because I valued that time of my life because it was when I started to find myself. That was the beginning of me finding who I was. Um and Yeah. Coming from that journey, I always it's always a pinpoint in my life. I always look back at that journey and I'm like, wow, from that point to where I'm at now, it's like, okay, I get it. I see why I had to go through the things that I went through. It was almost like, well, not almost, it was isolation. I was definitely being isolated and isolated by God at that. So I had a lot of feelings. I was angry, I was mad, I was upset. I didn't understand. I was confused, lonely. So yeah, that would be the time in
So
life.
today, as a personal success coach, do you ever find yourself in that space where um, restoration is needed?
Yes, not to the same magnitude though. I feel like I'm not at that same dark place anymore. But I feel like I'm like a house. So, it's different rooms where I'm like, okay, this room is good. Like almost thinking of you moving to a new house and you start, okay, I'm gonna decorate the living room first. I'm gonna get the kitchen together. Then I'm gonna work my way to the bathroom and the bedroom, right? I feel like that's how my life is in certain areas. And so that's when I would say certain areas of my life may need reconciliation.
See, that's why you're special. That is a great analogy, a house, because oftentimes I know as a personal success coach to another personal success coach, you often hear, and not even that, even before strip the titles off from me, I've said it. I've said it that I didn't know where to start. I didn't think that I was good enough. I felt like it was just too much that I had to do to feel like I was a little bit of worthy, just a little bit to even think that I could be. I felt like I had too much going on, and I had to do something um, to propel me to that place of restoration. And I never felt like, last week I talked about the hamster wheel. I always felt myself going around and around and around. And then today I realized I'm too cute to be a hamster. God didn't create me to be a hamster. So why am I perpetuating an attitude of a hamster, going round and around and around and around? And then I just realized that I had to make a decision and just start somewhere. And oftentimes now, even as a personal success coach and all the other titles and accolades you want to give me, I still find myself in that place where it's just too much. I got to do rather good, bad, or indifferent because I'm doing a lot of wonderful things. But even in those wonderful things, it becomes a bit much. What do I do? Where do I go? Even now, on this evening, instead of just starting, you can only do one thing at a time. I'm not an octopus. I'm not an octopus. I don't have the liberty of having a lot of arms, legs, or whatever that can do extra stuff for me. So how about I only concentrate and focus on a thing that I can handle right now? And we oftentimes skip that part of the process because we don't want to go through the process. In every process, there's a beginning and there's the end that just keep on ending. And you attach something to that, and then you attach something to that. So I definitely can appreciate, when you think of a house, there's different rooms. You don't put the house together in one. You got to go from room to room, from room to room. So internally, my internal environment, who am I seeking counsel from to know where to start at from the beginning? Most of us hear the word reconciliation and immediately we associate that with people. And on tonight, I want to talk about the gift of reconciliation in a way in which it belongs to you, the individual. So I want to ask you, in that journey of restoration, in that journey of the light bulb coming up, that revelation, that awakening, that moment, what did that what how does that show up in your life? Because how that shows up in your life today is a reflection of the gift, the reward of reconciliation. And I'm not speaking reconciliation to the people or the situation. I'm saying reconciliation as it relates to being reconciled to yourself.
Mm-hmm. Can you clarify the question one more time, please?
So we oftentimes, you said, and so I'm only using your perspective of restoration.
Mm-hmm.
Oftentimes when we hear the word reconciliation, two things we associate that with: people and forgiveness, which is three different things, struggles within itself, three different processes within itself. I'm saying, in order, if you and I had an argument or a disagreement, and if the relationship is important, then we have to make a decision to reconcile through communicating our differences, and then making a decision to understand one another, whether we agree or not, but making a decision to be reconciled so there will be no animosity, so that there will be no attitude. So we oftentimes associate reconciliation with other people, but we never really focus on ourselves, because in order to be reconciled with someone else, you first got to know how and what it takes to be reconciled with yourself. What do I mean by that? We oftentimes made decisions that wasn't in the best interest of ourselves, but in a best interest of other people. What is that? People pleasing. Which means we took something, we robbed ourselves. We're robbing ourselves. Nobody else is doing it. Ain't nobody using us, because we're making a conscious decision to please other people, and we're sacrificing that which we desire, and which means it causes an internal disconnection between our hearts and our minds, because your heart tells you your spirit tells you what to do. Your spirit knows, and your spirit alarms you. Your spirit warns you, but our intellect, sometimes, if not most times, overshadows and overtalks the spirit. And that's what causes the disconnect. And so when I'm saying the gift of reconciliation, so let me give you an example for myself. I recognize that once I went through a forgiveness process with myself, forgiving myself and working it out, I needed that reconciliation to happen. I needed not only to forgive myself, but learn myself so that I can be in relationship with myself. And all that's saying is that I'm becoming self-aware. I'm learning who I am. I'm getting to know myself. And there's some things that I dislike about myself, and there's some things that I am extremely head over heels about myself. But guess what? I accept all of that. Why? Because I have been reconciled. I accept everything there is that comes with me, even the new stuff that I learned. Why? Because I recognize that God is in the business of reconciliation. And when I am reconciled to myself, all I'm saying is I'm reconciled to the one who created me. That's all I'm saying. It isn't I'm connected just solely to myself. No, I recognize that there is a power greater than me, because it got me out of the state that I was in. feeling like I was unreconcilable, feeling like I couldn't be fixed, feeling lost and trapped, holding myself hostage in my own pain, in my own guilt, in my own suffering. But when you can overcome that and recognize that you are more than enough, that's when restoration starts taking place. So the question is, when you when you reconcile with who you are, or have you reconciled, when you look in the mirror and the woman that you see, you are pleased. The woman that you see, everything about you, you are pleased. Yeah, we do have room. We can grow. We're a work in progress. We know that. But let's be real. There's some things that I think that I am fabulous. I ain't waiting for nobody to tell me no more. I'm telling myself. And then there's some days when I look in the mirror and I'm like, girl, get it together. I got coal in my eye. I'm got just saliva. And I'm like, girl, get hair all over the place. I'm like, girl, go get it fitted. I ain't feeling you right now. Put it fitted on you. So I got to be real. But guess what? I accept all of that. Because there was a time where I hid. There was a time where I was unashamed, even how I looked. But girl, not today. So when I'm talking the gift of reconciliation, this is a self thing, not a pointing of fingers and looking at other people, because we recognize that it first starts with self. In order to be effective, especially when you are committed to pushing people, when you are committed to helping people, how you show up for yourself will determine how you will show up for the people. And so sometimes we don't normalize these kind of conversations. We normalize superficial conversations. We don't use words like reconciliation. We don't talk about what is reconciliation versus forgiveness. We don't normalize those conversations. So I'm saying, as a personal success coach to another personal success coach, how do you, as an individual, as a woman, before even stepping out to help another person, how do you help? How do you show up for yourself? And is there a time where you could say you didn't have a clue, you didn't accept yourself? And sometimes I still struggle with accepting myself.
Mm-hmm. So yes, for sure. There was definitely a time where I was lost. I lacked confidence. I lacked self-worth. I felt like I was nothing. Like I didn't feel like I was worthy. And part of my process was, one, building confidence. I'm so sorry.
But look, it is what it is. They understand this, bro.
Okay. so so if I'm honest, right, part of my journey was, one, reconciling my ability to feel, like to actually my sensitivity. Somewhere along my life, I became desensitized. I didn't want to feel. I didn't want to address the hurt, the pain. I was suppressing my emotions. I was suppressing my feelings about things, just so I could show up a certain way, so I could do for everybody else. And at one point, I felt like my emotions didn't matter. What everyone else was going through, and everyone else's well-being was top priority over mine. And so that was one thing. And I call it creating space for myself. You know how we always is always talk about, oh, let's create a safe space. Let's create a healing circle, or let's create these small groups where we can talk and share, in therapy groups and stuff. But I was looking outwardly for that, and I had to create that space for myself. And what that looks like for me is, like, if I'm feeling something, like actually allowing myself the space to cry, to feel, to go through the motions, before trying to pinpoint the issue. Because before it used to be, I'm feeling this way, let me do XYZ. I knew exactly what to do. I mean, I'm always reading books. I'm always listening to podcasts of self-help, encouragement, motivation, everything, right? But sometimes I've found that sitting and allowing myself just to have the space to be in that space, not judging myself,
Mhm.
not making it seem, not, forcing myself to be happy or change it right away, giving myself, allowing myself that space to feel. That was one thing. And then reconciling my confidence in myself, knowing who I am and standing in that, but not just the good things, like the good, the bad, the ugly, my insecurities, the things that I'm not so good at. Um, and a lot of that um, kind of worked itself out as I worked for Pivot, to be honest, because being in that space is, I was so used to not being seen. I was so used to hiding. I was so used to the being the one that wasn't seen, that was overlooked. And then to switching from being seen, it was uncomfortable because I'm like, okay, you can see right through my facade, right? I can put on makeup, I can look good and be a walking hot mess. And no one would notice though, right? But then being in that space, people notice. And I'm just like, it made me want to hide more, but it was kind of like I couldn't. And I knew God had me in that space for that reason, because it was time for me to deal with those things. It was time for me to address certain things, and it was painful. Um, Another thing was just understanding that I don't have to be perfect. Like that idea of perfection, it was running my life. It was running the show, and it was causing me to make decisions, doing things that I don't need to be doing. It made me more intentional when I realized, okay, I'm a human being. I make mistakes. As long as I know how to acknowledge and move forward from the mistake and learn from the mistake, I'm always going to be good. But I can't, it's inevitable for me not to make mistakes. That's a learning process, and not beating myself up when I do. Um, so those are the things that I had to do within myself. And I feel like I show up more confident. I do love who I see in the mirror. And, it's growing. It's definitely a journey. And I've settled in that journey, and I've appreciated every part of the journey too, not trying to rush to get to the end of the journey, because it's not, like you said before, it's always going. It's a never ending thing. But there's milestones along the way, and celebrating myself, like really being intentional about celebrating myself. And when I literally was thinking to myself earlier, like, wow, like where I'm at today, it didn't really sink in. Sorry. It hasn't really sink in how much I've come, how far I've come. Like I go back to that place, like I said, that place when I first moved out, and I never thought this was possible. I never thought. I really had those thoughts. I really was telling myself. I remember it like it was yesterday. Like, there's no joy, no happiness for me. Like, my life is just going to be dark. It's nothing here for me, And it was nothing but God that pushed me through that, right? It was nothing but God that allowed me not to actually take my life. I remember literally sitting on the bathroom floor, contemplating suicide, you know? And to be right here where I'm at, to be able to encourage women who was at that same place, because I know what it feels like. I actually know what it feels like, and I can see it. So I didn't mean to cry, but that's where that passion comes from, because I see myself in those ladies every day. I do. I see myself, and I'm like, if you just can hear that it is another possibility, because in that space, you can't see the future. You cannot see. You can't see. Sometimes you need someone to show you, like, it's possible, and if you can grasp onto it, that's where the true healing comes from. So, yeah.
So, as we do, it is your turn. It is your turn. It is your season. It is your turn. I'm telling you, it is your turn. This is your season, and we are pushing forward. And so, as always, and like you always do for so many people, allow us in this couple minutes that we have to love on you for a minute. And I just want to go into the chat because I love my village. I love when people show up because you are one of the ones that show up to support, to encourage. And so, on this evening, it's your turn. I think it said, let me put my glasses on. Salone, Janae says, so admirable. BR says, I see your growth. Salone says, you are amazing. T sends prayer hands in a heart. Tanae Briscoe, yes, sis, I am glad you pushed through. Janae said, yes, ma'am. Preach to us all day. April G said, I love you, honey. BR said, yes, it's your season. T put an exclamation mark. Yes, yes, yes. And here's sunshine. There is strength in your vulnerability. And we thank y'all. Thank y'all. Yes, amazing, Sade. And so what I want to say to you in this evening, along with the chat, that you are incredible. You are amazing. And I'm not just saying this to stroke your ego, because I'm not going to say it because I ain't that girl. We appreciate the work you doing on yourself and with the women at Pivot. We are. And let me tell you why I am. Because you took the challenge and you began to do the work for you. And I believe, I'm just silly enough to believe that God put you with the right people at the right time. See, sometimes we think we're looking for one thing, but really, God is saying, I got something in store. You got one thing on your mind, but I got something that not even your mind can fathom. Because you said there was a time, you can remember it like yesterday, you didn't believe. And now look at you today. See, we're talking about the gift of reconciliation. In order to experience the gift, somebody got to acknowledge it in real time and in real life and be unashamed about it. Why? Because everybody gets a turn. Everybody has a day where they have to say, I surrender. No longer do I want to struggle in my own strength and in my own will. Somebody got to figure this thing out. And that's why it's so important to have a village. And when you are special, I'm going to give you this analogy to help you understand our connection. You know the X-Men. I love the X-Men. I love all Marvel movies. But the X-Men happens to be my favorite Marvel in life. And this is why, even as a little girl, I was always intrigued that all these people were different. And at first, they didn't really get along because they didn't understand each other. Everybody was special and unique, but they all thought that they were awkward and weird because of what society had said. And so they all came in this one place, and there was one person who took all these people in that were different, and he took care of them. I oftentimes look at the X-Men and I look at Xavier as a representation of God. And I look at all the other people as a representation of the people. You are special. There is something inside of you that the world needs. There is some people that God has made provisions in you for. And if you didn't come to a place of reconciliation, you would not be in a position to be the provision for the people that's coming. Do that make sense? Mm-hmm. And I need you to understand that you are important, not just to the world, but to the kingdom. And how do we edify the kingdom? We edify the kingdom through edifying his people. And so with your gifts and with your talents, with your dreams, your goals, your aspirations, every time you get up, and you push and you do that thing, you're helping someone else. And you're not even doing it on purpose. See, we think we help the people that we talk to every day, even though we do, but it ain't on the level that you think. It's somebody that depends on your strength and they don't realize it. But when you do, when you show up, you are intentional about you, mind, body, and soul. Why? Because there's value in your reconciliation. There's value in your self-awareness. There is value when you choose you. There is value when you own who you are. Every day you wake up. Why? Because you are amazing. That you are. It takes one to know one. We still talking about the impact of it takes one to know one. I only recognize what's in you because I'm self-aware. Had I still been lost, I would only recognize that there's a light, there's something different, but I would not be able to identify it and appreciate it if I did not first do the work on myself, to humble myself enough to say, sis, you got it going on. Sis, you bring me out of my funky moods sometimes without even saying a word. That's pressure. It takes a special kind of person to disrupt my foolishness. I'm trying to tell you. When I show up and I want to have an attitude because my leg hurt, I want to have an attitude because my lungs is doing something crazy, and I'll get around you. After a while, I'm done. That's called impact. You wouldn't be able to do that for me if you wasn't reconciled with yourself. If you wasn't operating in a gift of reconciliation. If you wasn't tapped in, I'm telling you, you special. You are amazing. And I'll be the first one on today to admit that out loud because you are. You are. You inspire me to be great. You inspire me to struggle to get this, to teach myself to get this. Because I don't know, one day you might say, I'm ready to do this. And guess who's going to have the information and the knowledge to give to you? I am. Why? Because I'm intentional. We're doing this thing out loud. And we are showing people that relationships are real. Healthy relationships are real. When you can show up and just be who you are, it makes your day so, doesn't it make your day so light? Doesn't it make your day so easy when you can accept you? Because when you can accept you, the real people will accept you for who you are. And you will be able to identify that. Am I lying or not?
Mm-hmm. No.
Do you identify the people who see you in your life? The people that that you know that see you, what do you want to say to them in this moment?
Ooh. Thank you. I mean, thank you. That's all I can say. It feels good to be seen now. Now that I'm accepting, it was what I needed, like sometimes you need a person. If you see someone that just needs that extra push, or just you see them going down the wrong path and you like, hey sis, no, this is not who you are. Like, this is who you are. You are that, that we need more of that in the world. And I'm just blessed to have those people. It's quite a few people in my life who have done that for me. And that also was part of my healing journey too. Just having that support. Like you said, it does take a village. And it's so crazy because back in my apartment, I prayed to God. Like, I was in a weird transition, and the old friends that I had weren't going where I wanted to go. and I had to decide to break away and go through that wilderness period, and I was just like, well, God, this is lonely. Like, I need support. Like, I don't know what I'm doing, and I was praying to God, like, give me a support system. Give me people who are like-minded, who are going in the same direction. And it's like, look at the fruit. It's like, oh my gosh, like, I have an abundance. Like, I really think, and it's crazy, I really think, people think of wealth, right? I think of wealth as like people, your community, the knowledge,
Yes.
the
Right.
experience. Like, it's not about money. I feel wealthy. I do. I am wealthy.
Wow.
I am wealthy because of the people who are around me, because of the experiences that I've had. So I'm grateful. I'm so grateful. Thank you all.
Wow, that was amazing. Girl, yes, I'm wealthy too, girl. Yeah. Honey, we are some wealthy sisters. Yes, girl, we are wealthy. We had we share some of the amazing people, and I look forward to meeting the people in your life that I do not know that see you. I look forward to meeting them people because as I talk about myself, I say that about you too. It takes a special kind of person to handle you. It takes a special kind of person to be a participant in your life. Why? It takes one to know one. And you wouldn't know how to handle an individual like yourself if you did not know how to handle an individual like yourself. Do that make sense?
Yes.
It takes one to know one. We're talking about the gift of reconciliation, and all we are doing is talking it out because my desire is that you understand first with a little bit of time that we got, and real quick, we're gonna have to do a part two because I want to distinguish the difference between forgiveness and reconciliation. I want to talk about that. So, what, in your own words, what is the difference between the two? What is forgiveness and what is reconciliation?
I love this question, and I say it all the time. So, forgiveness is letting go of the emotional baggage, the emotional pain that has come from whatever event, whatever person, relationship, right? And reconciliation is you going back to that person, you reconciling a relationship. But oftentimes people confuse the two and they think that they've forgiven by reconciling, and that's not the case. Sometimes it's not wise to reconcile because if this person is causing you pain and it's continuous and it's not, depending on what the situation is, if it's not changed behavior and this same relationship is causing you to experience pain, that's abuse, right? So knowing the difference is helpful because when you forgiven and you have went through the process of letting go of that, sometimes that would mean you could still love a person and not reconcile with them. Forgiveness is still loving a person, being able to wish them well, detach yourself from the emotional pain from whatever they did, freeing yourself, but saying to yourself, like, hey, we don't need to be reconciled.
I think that it's important. You are spot on. I think it is important that we have. So we're going to do a part two because it is important to be able to talk about the difference between forgiveness and reconciliation. So many of us, and I can speak for myself, I've had the idea, the belief that forgiveness meant you can come back into my life because I forgave you, all is well, because we're not taught the difference. We're not taught that there is a difference. And I want to talk about that because that is important. And so many of us as women, we get tripped up and we find ourselves stagnated in unhealthy situations and unhealthy relationships because we don't recognize the difference between forgiveness and reconciliation. There is some people that I have forgiven in my life, but guess what? There is no reconciliation in order. I have no desire to be reconciled with you. And I am at peace with that. And at some point, we have to get to a place where we can normalize these conversations. Nada Barber, I see you coming through. Yes, yes, yes. We miss you in the village. I see you. I see you. Jazz, I thank you. I see you. I see you coming through. We have Pus'Her community has the best village. You all know how to show up and show out, because this is not a me thing or Sade thing. This is a collective thing. We are pushing each other together. And so I am so grateful that you all do not. Okay. I have 6 minutes. I gotta stay because I want to end on time. That is important to me. So we will have a part 2. So I'm not gonna go travel too deep in it. So hopefully I can have you back next week so that we can finish this topic, because I believe you have good insight and I want to push you a little. So that is there's a method to my madness. I'm pushing you in the process of sharing your perspective, because I believe you have something to say. And I believe the only way you're going to say it is somebody push you to say it. And so God just gave me the unction. And so I am going to push you so that you can get out that fire that is shut up in your belly. Because I know it is all through your bones, all everywhere waiting to get out. And so, because I know, because it takes one to know one. I recognize that, and so I'm grateful that I have the privilege and the honor to be able to push you forward in your desire to use your voice to help heal in your arena, women. I definitely appreciate that, and I definitely want. So, will you accept our invitation to come back next week? You can say no. I'm still going to schedule you.
I gotta think about it. Like, okay, yes, I'll come back.
Yes, yes, yes. We want to begin to normalize these kind of conversations. They don't always have to be gloomy. They don't always have to have us down and out. But for some people, depending on how you are affected when you hear information, I do not want you to struggle by yourself. Sade is a life coach. And if you need someone to talk, she's gonna bill you now. It ain't for free. But you can find her on IG. It's Sade, ITSSASHARDA on IG. You can find her. I will push her to just post little clips of herself on her IG to build that page up. And as a community, can we do that? Can we encourage her to begin to open up her platform and to begin using her voice? Because she definitely has something to say and we want to hear it. And so she's checked her calendar mentally, and so we will have her back next week to talk about reconciliation versus forgiveness. What is the difference, and how we can help as a community function in a healthy way. We're not saying being arrogant, we're not saying be crazy with it. We just saying when you are self-aware, you understand who has the right to be in your space, who has shown themselves worthy to be in your intimate space, who has deemed themselves worthy to be in relationship with you. And in order to know that, we got to check in internally. And that's why the power, the gift of reconciliation is so important. Understanding what that means for you and what that looks like for you. Not for me, not for Sade, but for you. And so, Sade, I want you to, in a couple minutes that we have left, there is someone who's watching or someone who will be watching that has found themselves on their bathroom floor. They have found themselves on their bedroom floor, somewhere in their house. That's how we started talking about the house. They have found themselves somewhere in their house struggling, feeling like I can't, feeling like I'm unworthy, feeling like no one hears me, no one is taking me seriously, no one sees me. I want to do better, I want to do different, but I feel unworthy, I feel trapped, I feel suffocated emotionally, I'm confused psychologically, spiritually, I'm dehydrated. What will you say to that person, man or woman? Because in this community, we service everyone.
Mm. Well, the first thing is you deserve to live. You deserve, and not physically, yes, but you know, living while you're alive. You deserve to be alive. You deserve to feel joy. You deserve to feel happiness. Yes, things are confusing at the moment, but things will make sense if you just hold on, if you push and you find that little piece of hope, right? There's a little piece of hope there. If you just hold on to that, everything will make sense. And one thing that has helped me is that when the student is ready, the teacher appears. So if you really want to change, then be on the lookout, be in expectation for opportunities, for things to come your way for you to get what you need. But just hold on and know that though you can't see it right now, there is hope on the other side.
Thank you. Thank you. Village, can we just take a minute in the chat and just thank Sade, forward ever, backwards never. Can we just put that in the chat? Forward ever, backwards never. Give Sade that energy. I love that you are normalizing these conversations. Yes, ma'am. And if you would like to take part in these conversations, all you have to do is inbox me and be willing to heal out loud. Transparency, as Sade reminded us, is just giving information away freely. Do not gatekeep your process. Our chapter director for the Ladies League of Baltimore has been on a journey and telling us that we have to begin to share the process. And so, like Sade reminded us today, do not gatekeep your blessing, how God is blessing you and your breakthrough. You got to talk about it. You got to share it. That is how we uplift our community. We see what the government is doing and we are tripped up about it. But guess what? If we just take a minute and realize that we are responsible for one another, we are the revolutionaries. We are the freedom fighters. We are the community activists, the leaders. It is our responsibility to take care of our community in which and where we live. Not the government, not the people with all the, it's us. And so I hope that on the 28th we all will participate. Do not spend your money. It's all over Facebook and everywhere. And this is not a political page. I just want you to understand that in order to uplift your community, uplift your community, you first got to uplift yourself. Check your priorities. Check your priorities. And so as we move forward, we want to just thank Sade for accepting the invitation to come back next week, Wednesday at 6:30. I am going to ask you all in the chat to subscribe, to like, and to share. I want you to share because I don't want you to gatekeep the information. I want you to share it with your tribe, and so that we can continue to grow and we can journey alongside together. Your girl will be honored. I will be in Philly on March the 15th, and Sade and my village coming with me. I will be receiving a Phenomenal Woman Award. I don't know why they considered me, but they did. And so I'm going to Philly to accept this award on my village behalf because I recognize I cannot be who I am wholeheartedly and effectively without my village. And so I thank you all for showing up. Get the book, It Takes One to Know One workbook and journal. Tonight, I'm going to do a contest. The 10th person that goes on pusherlife.org, hit the Healing 1 Million People link. The 10th person that hits that link and take that pledge, I am going to have a special gift for you. Listen, you can't trip me because it's time stamp, baby. So you can't trip me up. It's timestamp. Your name and the date and the time that you did it will be on there. The 10th person, I will give you something special. The 10th person. So that is what I am going to do today. In the meantime, in between time, go to pushyourlife.org. Take the pledge, healing 1 million people, one person at a time. And on tonight, we started with ourselves first, and just encouraging one another, and hope that you are to encourage. And so that is our time. We will see you on Wednesday at 6:30. As I always say, if you're not pushing forward, you're moving backwards. Say it out loud, Sade. Forward ever.
Whatever, backwards never.
Yes, yes, yes. You are simply amazing. And I am so glad that you showed up for yourself. You spoke with confidence. You spoke with conviction. You spoke with certainty. And I know that God's heart is pleased. And so I just want to encourage you to keep pushing. I will see you, Sade, same time, same place. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
I came home and I came to the T.R.I.V.I.A house. Best thing I ever did. They supplied me the resources to accomplish my dreams. At the same token, allowed me and encouraging me to stay focused on the hill from which cometh my help. After 90 days of being on house arrest, I finally got out and I got a job. I didn't have a pair of shoes to go and perform my job, as boots was required for one of the things. And guess what? Somebody from the T.R.I.V.I.A house came and bought me a pair of boots.